Hola, y'all. Oh my goodness. Boa tarde, boa noite, bom dia. Hey, happy Thursday. Feliz Quinta-feira. I will explain the incessant laughing. Oh, I am Krishan Wright. I'm the founder of Blaxit Global. I am the host of the Blaxit Global podcast, coming back for season 8 in January 2026. We are in production, y'all. So I am excited about this upcoming season. Hope you are too. Hope you are listening to old episodes, getting yourself up to speed and ready and primed for another season of the show. I know I am. So yeah, why I was laughing. I saw something hilarious on the internet like 2 seconds ago. That's my dishwasher finishing. My zodiac sign is a Cancer, and let me tell you, Cancers get a bad rep. I'm just saying. People like to think that we're the worst of the zodiacs, but that's not true. That's not true. But when you do us dirty, well, then that might be true. So this video is hilarious, and I literally watched it right before I hit the button, which was not good, but it was actually funny. Oh my goodness! Hope you all are doing well. I am joining you from my home in Lisbon, Portugal, and excited for tonight's show. And yeah, look, we have a channel member, Cheryl. How you doing? In the house and first in the chat, Action BJ. Hey, hey, hey. How you doing? How you been? Hey, Mary. Hey, hey, hey. I have some announcements. So, first announcement. We're in late November. Oh my gosh. Like the day after tomorrow, it's going to be New Year's. But we, Blaxit Global, for the second year, we're going to have our virtual holiday party inside of Blaxit Global Passport. So for our Passport members, as well as our YouTube channel members, we are going to get together in virtual fellowship. We did it last year and it was such a hit with everybody. It was like, you know what, we got to do it again. So it's just our time. We have our usual monthly accountability meetings, but we do a little bit of that, but mostly it's really acknowledging the journey, how far we've come over the past year, and just a time of, deep gratitude and fun. And so lots is in store. I can't give it all away, but if you attended last year, you might want to swing by this year and definitely celebrate with us. So it's going to be great. So if you're already a Passport member, you've seen the announcement in the group. If you're already a YouTube channel member, you've seen the announcement. If you have not yet joined Blaxit Global Passport, this would be a good time to do so. It actually would. There are some big enhancements coming to the platform in 2026. I was working most of the day on them now that things are starting to settle. So, it's getting to look a lot like Christmas. So all good, all good, all good. Hey, the Luxury Bucket List is in the house. Hello, Anne. How are you? Let's see, what else? Yes. Our scouting program, our signature scouting program, Nomad Noir. So Nomad Noir, for those of you who do not know, is our 10-day scouting program. Takes place in Portugal. I don't say Lisbon anymore because we spend time in Lisbon, but we really go everywhere else. So our 10-day scouting program. So you have 10 days in Portugal with me. We traverse the landscape. We do a mixture of course, fun stuff. Not a lot of touristy things, but really it's your chance to mix and mingle with Black expats. You get your answers to your questions about medical, immigration, housing, taxes, which we added this year with our tax attorney. So really all of the key things to help you decide if Portugal is the right fit for you. So we have spots in our spring cohort. Fall is sold out, but spring we still have 2 slots available. So if you are thinking about joining us, it would be a wonderful investment. I will drop the link to the wait list because I have to just double check something else about the other page, but I will drop that link. Definitely, if you're interested, come on in, ask a question. I may do another informational, maybe at the top of the year in 2026. We shall see. It feels weird to start saying 2026. Oh my gosh. I have to think about these things. I'm like, literally, it feels like the day after tomorrow. Like, doesn't it feel like that? Which is a nice little segue for tonight's show. So, I was thinking about topics, and oh, by the way, next Thursday is Thanksgiving. So I will not be live because I will be with my family in the United States. Oh, so I will be chowing down, I think, with my mom and my siblings. So I will not be live. But so when I was thinking about tonight's show, and I started thinking about like, oh my gosh, it feels like time has sped up the older I get, and the more I want time to like stop. But then when I thought about my move to Portugal, and also when there's been seismic quantum leaps and shifts in my life, like there have been signs. And I know by doing this now over 5 years, with our members who have made the leap, who are in the process of making their moves abroad. And when they are in community and we are on the accountability groups or we are in workshops, and then they report back about things that seemingly seemed impossible becoming possible, I was like, see, I'm not the only one. So I was like, that's what we're gonna talk about tonight. We're gonna talk about the quantum leaps. We're gonna talk about the quantum leaps. Hey. Positive thinking from Arizona. I almost moved to Arizona. I never did. I wanted to move after was it after grad school? I think it was after grad school. Might have been, but I did not. Hey, hello, luxury bucket list. Yeah, so that was what I was thinking. So for some of you who are like, well, what is all of that? Like, what is a quantum leap? So the best way I can describe it is it's a sudden accelerated jump forward. And it's so big. And you can probably think, and I hope you can think of points in your life where you felt like you were in flow, you were in alignment, you maybe felt like you had downloads from, a higher source, be it, God, source, the universe, however you language that, right? And it's not from grinding harder. It's not from, more output, more physical labor, more emotional labor. It's not the expenditure of energy. It is more in alignment. And then when you have that, like you have a sense of, I don't know, maybe your intuition starts to, appear louder. Clarity starts to snap into place, and things in your external life start to rearrange. And you're like, I get it. So the best way to sum it up is it's the moment when preparation and vision and energy meet. And that fusion is your quantum leap. So let me know in the chat if that resonates with you. I would love to know. I would love to know. So, I love a good list every now and then. So I think I know that there are signs to make it crystal clear, like when you are experiencing a quantum leap, because I know in the States there are a lot of things going around that may make you feel like you're taking one step forward and then two steps back. Either things that are going on, in your immediate life, or things that you see on TV that makes it feel further and further away. The goal of moving abroad. For me, I felt the goal was feeling like it was never going to happen because I was 3 years away from my Blaxit in 2020, knowing that my Blaxit was in 2023, and COVID happened. It was like, oh, we gonna throw some shit down that you are not prepared for. And I was like, well, damn. And then, a dose of civil unrest and all of that. And I was like, oh, I'm never getting out of here. And, thankfully, I didn't listen to that lower frequency, lower vibration, or took what was in front of me as evidence that my goal was not going to happen, and instead channeled and redirected that energy into what you now know as Blaxit Global, right? So that was an example of this quantum leap. So, to kind of crystallize it a little bit for you, I wanted to kind of talk through some of the signs. So the first is increasing discomfort with your current life. I kind of set the table with that one, right? There were all kinds of shenanigans going, right? A global pandemic. I had gotten laid off. And so it was like, well, the money that I need now is now being used to keep lights on, food, clothes, like, right? And when, started the pandemic, Orange Man was in the White House, right? So like all the things, telling people to put bleach up their butt, like I was like, I'm going to die here. I'm never going to get out of here. Couldn't travel, couldn't do nothing. Couldn't leave the house without thinking I was going to die. So like all of this discomfort, right? All of this discomfort. And for you, what areas of discomfort are you experiencing? Because I'm convinced, like, when you think of, like, I've had two children, and I was watching something earlier, and I'd seen some celebrity, and they were posting, and they have older children now, but they were posting pictures of themselves when they were pregnant and all that stuff. And it's like, wow, like you carry this. I mean, hopefully you have fun making a baby, but then you have that, oh wow, I'm pregnant, and then you get bigger and bigger, and then you have the discomfort, right? Kicks and organs that you're like, oh damn, there goes my bladder and all that other stuff. Can't sleep, all of these things that your body is also like prepping you for like the big show. And then, especially with your first, you're never really truly prepared because, I used to watch this show on Lifetime. I think it was Lifetime or TLC. I think it was called A Baby Story. You can watch all the videos, you can go through all the classes, but nothing prepares you for that moment when it's your time. And for me, I was in labor for 28 hours and 45 minutes with my son, no drugs. And I am like, wow, talk about some intense pain. But it's like as soon as he was born, all of that went out my head. And I had this beautiful baby boy, right, that I created. And I was like, oh my gosh, right? Didn't care about all that other stuff, like the payoff. But I had to go through the discomfort, right? And so that is what happens. Let's see. Luxury Bucket List said, I ran up a bag in lockdown, but I feel I lost in 2025. I can't wait for this year to end. I think that's what you mean. Oh, okay. Okay. Yeah. Just being in the US is discomfort. Yes, agreed. I'm going to be there in less than a week. Discomfort. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Oh no, I got you. I got you. Yeah. And positive thinking said, yeah, I call it divine intervention when things line up without you doing anything to make it happen. Absolutely. Yeah. And thank you. Yeah. Avoiding discomfort. Yeah. Because we want to avoid discomfort as much as possible, right? But then when you think about the things that have stretched you in your life, it has come with discomfort, right? You don't move forward without experiencing it, right? The baby is fine inside its mom's womb. It's got all its needs met. Literally, right? Don't have to worry about no food, right? Don't have to worry about no nutrients. It's sucking everything off mommy, right? But it outgrows its space. And then it's got to come out. I'll stay with the baby analogies, right? We all were babies once and we were held. We learned to crawl, right? It was like, oh, wow. And then the baby stands up, you know, and eventually starts to walk. But it's wobbly, it's falling down, it may hit its head, all these things. And it doesn't say, oh shit, man, that walking thing is hard. I like being carried around. I don't think this is meant for me. Right? We learn, we hold on to objects. People hold our fingers. They have the little walker things. You build strength, you grow strength from discomfort. All a process, right? And so the things that have stretched you the most have come through discomfort. And so sometimes when we're going through, things that are challenging or, work or your country, right? Feeling like your relationships, your lifestyle doesn't feel like it's in alignment with who you are, that's a sign, right? For me, I spent a lot of time in the States, especially once it's natural and I would do my hair on the weekends and I watched documentaries because I'd be in the bathroom for like 3.5 hours. And I would watch these documentaries about, what they do to the food or what they've done to us historically. And I would just get incensed. And the more and more I watched, and the more and more, not just watch content, but read books and, my own experiences and others, it made it crystal clear something that I had always felt inside because I always wanted to live abroad was that my values as a human being were not in alignment with the country of my birth. And then being in corporate and other workplaces where, you're micromanaged, you're overlooked, but, overwatched, overpoliced. Um, it was just like, working twice as hard, if you're lucky, getting half as much. Um, it was just, it was stress. It was stress. And that was showing up with not sleeping, sometimes, appetite being off, either not eating enough or eating too much, not, drinking too much, um, skin breaking out, like all the things, gastrointestinal stuff that was happening. And you think like, oh, it comes with the job, or it comes with making more money, or it comes because I'm doing this, as a single parent, or all of these things that you can try and explain away. But those are signs. Those are signs. Hmm. Oh, man. Let me tell you. I was talking to my mom about that food today. Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. And then, like I said, I had layoffs. Some of you are experiencing, I know that the government shutdown ended, but if you were impacted directly, you are still feeling the after effects of not having a paycheck, right? Or having to float things on credit cards or, other things that happen, unexpected, circumstances. So we're going to move on to sign two. And when you have discomfort and you're realizing that there are things that are misaligned, suddenly you start to have clarity about what you want. And that may look different for everybody. Clarity may come in the form of, well, I always thought about living abroad, but then I stumbled onto this podcast called Blaxit Global. Or you might see an article, right? All of a sudden, you start getting clear about the things that you want. You're like, okay, no more maybes. You start to say, I have to choose a direction. So when you're driving a car, I'm not always good at analogies, but we'll try this one. When I'm driving a car, when you're driving a car, you're looking forward. Occasionally, you look in the rear view mirror, right, to see traffic behind you. You might see somebody coming up fast behind you. You may see, something else, police, whatever. You can occasionally glance in your side view mirror, especially if you're changing lanes, right? You want to make sure you're good, right? But then, let's say you're driving along that road and you come to a fork and you have to go one way or another. Like you have to make a decision, you have to commit. And so, if this is something that you want for yourself, you can't always stay on the path that's comfortable, on the path that's familiar, because you'll go straight, but you can expect more of the same, right? Switching jobs is going to change the white folks doing white shit, white ways, especially when they're being emboldened. Um, it's not going to change the power structure that exists in the United States, right? Where oligarchs, right? The wealthy, the super wealthy, the billionaire boys club is running the show. You can't control those things. But what you can do is make a decision, right? Can you accept what's in front of you? And then can you make a decisive, clear thing? Know what you want and follow your gut, right? So for some of you, what have you decided you're going to do? And it may not even be about moving abroad. You might be like, for clarity, clarity might come as a sign before you make a decision. It might be you get real decisive about a lot of things in your life. You might be like, no. Like for me, I remember they were trying to get me to do this job, and I was like, no. Things that were outside of my scope, no, right? Get somebody else to do it, right? So the more I felt comfortable saying no, and then there was a promotion, there was going to be more money, but I would have had to commute. I was like, and more importantly, miss a lot of my daughter's last year of school. No, right? The vision became sharper and more in focus, and my commitment and resolve in believing that life had to be better than what I was living. I didn't know. I believed it. I had conversations, right, with people on the show, on the channel, through my travels that made me believe it was possible for them. But what was possible for them, was that really going to be possible for me? Baby, beyond my wildest expectations. Yeah, it's possible. Yeah, growth. Hmm. Oh yeah, tech. I saw I was looking. Oh, it's after 9 here. Uh, Today was a lot of tumult in the stock market, um, and I think it was driven by tech and AI and all this other stuff. I was like, "Ooh, baby!" Positive thinking says, I am jumping to Italy in 2026. Yay! I love Italy. Love Italy. With a suitcase full of fear of the unknown. But you know what? Mm, you can either face everything and run or face everything and rise. And it sounds like you are on your way to rising. So I love that for you. Congratulations. Yay. Yeah. Yeah, that was the word in 2020. Remember that? That was the year of the pivot. And so yeah, there are going to be times in your life where you make a pivot, a career change, where you read the tea leaves and you're like, I think it's time for me to tap out. For me, I was in government for 10 years. And then I pivoted into the private sector and had to reinvent myself because I had my education was, aligned with the jobs that I was doing. And then I wanted to pivot into, marketing and then eventually digital marketing and all this other stuff. And went to have an illustrious career, but I did not do it the way that I guess is the traditional way. I was like, oh, I gotta take some shortcuts. Because if I gotta go back to school and get an MBA and all this other stuff, ain't nobody got time for that. Start from the beginning, entry level, and work my way. No, I need the cheat codes. Right? Pivot, pivot. If you think you can, or if you think you can't, either way, you're right. Right? Absolutely. So you gotta get in alignment. Number 3, woohoo! Resources and opportunities start aligning. Ooh, when I talk about alignment, that has been, I don't know if that's gonna be my word for this year. Maybe it's my word for 2026. I'll let that simmer for a bit because I like to think of a theme. I didn't really have a theme for 2025, although it revealed itself to me. And maybe I'll share that story another time. But yeah, resources start to align. Information shows up at the right time. I talked about it earlier. Um, excuse me. You start having like, oh, I'm gonna, I'm thinking about moving to Italy, or I think I want to move abroad. And then all of a sudden, right, you'll see an article or, uh, podcast shows up on your feed, or you hear a song or something like that, or anything. Maybe it's a career pivot, but you start to see signs in everything, right? Resources, people come into your life, money flows to you easily, effortlessly. Just things start to, barriers, obstacles that you once thought, right, would keep you from getting to goal actually happens. Using that digital marketing as an example, I pivoted from a 10-year career in politics and I was just like, okay, I want to do marketing. And it was just something that resonated with me. My bachelor's is in English, my master's is in social work. How the heck did I wind up running digital marketing for a global multi-billion-dollar business? I don't know. I don't know. With no MBA, did not go back to school, right? I could say it was my good looks and charm. It probably was. But that's besides the point, right? I had to think. I had to think outside the box. What's the fastest way for me to learn what I need to learn and then prove what I need to prove in order to get to what I wanted, right? And things started to align. I had gotten laid off. I had my moment. right? It was like, ooh, I had this experience in marketing with another job that was actually government, but I was kind of playing a little bit, straddling the fence, doing some marketing stuff for them. Then I had this other job and I was straddling a little bit even more just so I could, you know, get some wins, get some proof points. And then when I got laid off, someone else that I had known that was laid off had told me about this career retraining that unemployment did, and that they'll send you to school to learn a new skill or do something else. And I was just like, oh, word, and they'll pay for it. Bonus. And so at the time, I don't know if they still do, but Rutgers had a mini MBA in digital marketing, and it was taught by the top leaders in digital marketing at the time who had like written articles, who were like, you know, all the people that they follow, like the big influencers, the gurus, were our instructors. And I wanted to get in. I wanted to get in. I wanted to get in. But man, getting anything done through government is like seemingly impossible. Man, I made that my job. I made that my job. And then I got in, did that program. I think we had a snowstorm in the middle of the program. It was like, I'm not going to say the duration, but uh, more than half of the duration we were dealing with the storm. And then I got it, right? It was a week. I'll tell you, it was a week. What? Another degree for free? Baby, what? But look what came from that. And so there are times where you'll hear something. Well, now with these devices, they serve it to you because they've heard you talk about it, but just stay with me, right? But it's like serendipity, magic, the universe, right, will send you signs and nudge you, right? It will move things. I didn't know when I was doing that down the road I was going to be leading digital marketing for a multi-billion-dollar brand. Going and doing commercials in LA. What? What? But I did. And I'm trying to think from the time I took that class to the time I started on the brand. It was 2017 when I got on the brand. And I think I took that class in 2014 or yeah, it was 2014. So, and then when I got the job, yeah, it was a year and a half later. Can't make this stuff up. Can't make this stuff up. Mm-mm. Mm-mm. But if I had to go back to school, take an exam, do all that stuff, pay thousands of dollars, I was like, nope, shortcut. That's why I tell y'all, when you're thinking about moving abroad, you can go at it alone. You can go at it alone. It's going to take you longer. It may be more difficult because you are more susceptible to the naysayers. You have to really be fortified. You have to have tunnel vision. You have to have all those things. Those people that are in community, like in Blaxit Global Passport, we have expats that are in the community, aspiring expats, myself. We're sharing resources. Every day I'm sharing articles, literally every day. There's content in there. Then we have our workshops, we have our accountability groups, we have events. And so those are the people. And now we have 30 plus members that are living in Portugal, in addition to other countries, and 30 plus in Portugal just in the time since I've been here in 2 years. And so the proof points are there, right? And I get emails from all of y'all around the world, people who, now in Thailand and all these other different wonderful places. And I'm just like, oh my gosh, whether it be through the podcast or passport or whatever, they got the information they needed. They kept feeding their mind with what they needed to continue to fortify themselves and keep themselves on the journey. Because you are in flow, you are in alignment. So debt goes away, job shifts, like things start to, skills that you thought that, come to you effortlessly. You're like, wow, I can make money from this, or whatever the case is. But the quantum shifts, they don't always look magical, but they are always in alignment. They are always in alignment. Which leads us to number 4. Oh, wait. Let me go in the chat. Chatty chat chat. Hey, Jacross, how are you? Hey, you are right on time. Yes. As long as you are above ground and you have air in your body, there is always time. Always time to reinvent. Luxury bucket list. I was thinking of doing the school thing in France, but hubby thinks that we should take a different route that may involve Spain. Oh, wow. Yes, do it. My goodness. It's just, look, I spent some time in Spain a few months ago. I know that there are some people that are pursuing degrees especially in Europe, because it's so affordable. Oof. And then I was actually having a chat the other day with one of our former guests from early season, I think season 2-ish, so it was a while. And they're coming up on their citizenship. And I'm like, wow, almost 10 years. And I'm like, woo, amazing. Yes, yes, yes. Yeah, thank you. Thank you. We have been fortunate, like literally from the beginning, to always have an amazing group of people in the community. And the ties that they make and the relationships and the friendships, it just allows you to have a softer landing wherever you are in the world. And, for so many of us, we know as Black people, like it takes a village, but being in the United States, which fosters rugged individualism, so many of us have had to go at it alone. We didn't have the warmth of the village. And so to have that opportunity to form these new connections online that then become offline, in real life relationships, that's powerful. And I've seen these transformations over and over again. And so it just renews my spirit. Oh, thank you, BJ. Yes. Oh, thank you, thank you, thank you. I love it. I love it. And now he is sitting in Portugal. Right? Absolutely. Put them degrees. I mean, if you could do it when you're in the EU and it's free or virtually free, then you can do it. But don't do it in America. Mm-mm. It costs too much money for that piece of paper. Mm-mm. Mm-mm. I am thinking about going to school next year for B1, B2 Portuguese, because this year, not to digress, this year I finished A1, A2, and that was in February. And the rest of this year, I was like, oh, you know what? I didn't want to rush into B1, B2. It's not required for citizenship, but it was just for my own personal advancement, because I love being able to communicate. And this year, I wanted to apply what I had learned. And then I said, okay, by 2026, I think I'll be ready to stretch a little further. And it's nearing that time where I'm like, I think B1 and B2, they're a 2026 goal. I think it's going to happen. Especially since, for the most part, like we didn't spend as much time as we probably should have on past tense in my class. I think we only did like one lesson. So I only speak in the present. I only speak in the present in Portuguese. But I went to get my nails done the other day and I did something else. But like I made my appointment and told her it was like the end of the day and I was trying to get the appointment. She was like, no. And I was like, oh, I'm gonna come back tomorrow. And then she understood me and I was just like, okay. And then I showed up the next day and then we did the whole thing. And I was like, look, I think it was only one time the other day when someone said they didn't understand and then I had to repeat it. But I very rarely does that happen. I'm telling you. I'm telling you. Oh yeah. Ooh, I'm telling you. They will get you. Um, yeah. Oh, okay. Wow. Because I know Spain is 10 years, but I think France is shorter. And then really the only thing that you have to, concern yourself with is learning the language, whatever level you need to know for citizenship. But you have time. You have time. Uh, yes, it does. It really does. I speak Portuguese, well, especially because where I live in Lisbon, I'm like in the city, but outside on the outskirts. And that was intentional because I wanted to speak every day. And so, I speak to my neighbors. I'm so transactional. Like I said, I can go get my nails done and because I think about what I want to say in the simplest way to say it. I cannot think in my I've been speaking English for 51 years brain. No, 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 no. I gotta think, oh, let me think like a 3-year-old Portuguese girl. How would she say, can you do my nails? Right? So that's what I tap. But yeah, whenever I have to communicate, I'm able to now think in the simplest form and then say what I have to say. People understand me. And then if they're suspicious, it doesn't happen all the time. Then they'll be like, de onde? And then I'm like, oh, okay, Estados Unidos. But very rarely do people ask me where I'm from. They usually just are like, oh, okay. Maybe if I say the thing that gives me away, I will say there's one thing that gives me away is any word that begins with the letter R. Still, I sound like a pirate. Like the English speakers are, right? It is not R in Portuguese. It's more like a so anything that starts with an R is a dead giveaway. Oh my gosh. Hey, Alicia Renice is in the chat. Hey, how are you? Oh my goodness. Yeah. But in Spanish, right, it's the trilled R, the right? So that I can do. Like the Spanish R is not a problem. The Portuguese R. So every time I have to be like, anyway, I digress. Let's go back to the signs. Okay, so that was number 3. Okay, number 4, emotional and spiritual confirmation. Mm, And look, like I am an introvert. I am a Cancerian. We are deeply emotional people. I'm not a crier, but like what I tell you, like I feel things. I feel things, right? I'm an empath. And so, yeah, you start to have an inner knowing that it's time. So when you have these quantum leaps, it starts and you have, the feeling of misalignment, we talked about before. You start to get the clarity, things start to come into your orbit, resources, people, things, right? And all of those things lead you to this moment of like, whew, spiritual and emotional confirmation. And you're like, oh, it's time. It's go time. And for everybody, that's going to be different. For some people, it might be like, okay, I need to set a date, which I always, when we're in group and people are starting to swirl, because we do accountability, it's like, okay, make your goal and I'll push where appropriate. Like, okay, let's get more specific. And then it's like, okay, yeah, you're going to be moving, but let's put a date on the calendar, right? Put a date on the calendar, work backwards. Sometimes we don't want to put the date because then it makes it too real, or whatever it is, something, whatever you're trying to avoid. But then you get to a point where a breakup, the end of a relationship, right? You're just like, it's time. But then, you might see other things like in the environment, repeating numbers. Some people have, I know my daughter's like that. She likes, seeing signs of like repeating numbers. You'll have meaningful connections and conversations, sometimes with strangers, right? So I feel like when people come into your life, you may have a moment with that person and they may say something to you or do something for you at that specific moment that you needed to hear something. And you may have heard this thing somewhere else, but you didn't hear it like you needed to hear it in that moment. It could have been a complete stranger, but that is the universe, that is spirit, that is God, that is whomever, however you language it, speaking to you. That's your sign. So you start to feel pulled in the direction, right? Not pushed, right? It's like a magnet. You start to attract things, you start to attract people, you start to be pulled towards your destiny, right? And then in that knowing comes a sense of calm, right? You're more resolute. You're more resolute in what you want to do. Hmm. Yes, yes, yes. I'm glad it resonates. Number 5, you start releasing what's no longer aligned. I have been in a period of releasing lately. As y'all know, we had our epic 5-year anniversary parties. I have to say they were parties, plural. We had our yacht party, followed by our Exodus Summit meetup, Blaxit Global Exodus Summit crossover. It was wonderful. And, in the lead up, just a couple weeks earlier, the Nomad Noir ladies were here, the fall program, and they had just ended and left. And then it was like, okay, I start to get myself ready for, the big shows. And I knew I was like, ooh, I've got to have something like rest after. Like I wanted to go away, but it wasn't like, oh, let me go away to another country and do like, something. So I've been to 7 or 8 countries already this year. I was like, I just need quiet. I need stillness. And that was the first time I've ever done that. Digital detox. And I couldn't turn my phone off, right? Because I have my children, even though they're, 3,500 miles away. And for those of you who know what happened a few weeks ago, it is with good reason why I don't shut my phone off. But I, limited the intake. So I, let people, that was the first time ever in Passport where I was just like, okay, I'm going to be quiet for a couple of days. Had it posted everywhere, all over my socials, my personal pages and things like that. Told my family, my close friends, like, have my out of office. I was like, I am offline. And I went up in the mountains. I had never been into the Douro Valley here in Portugal. I'd heard about it, but I went, drove all the way up there, and it was, up a mountain. I was like, my ears were popping. I went down roads that didn't look like they were roads, and oof, almost had a scary encounter with a cliff. But don't trust Waze. Waze was wrong. Um, I had to listen to my intuition. My intuition said, "Bitch, if you keep going down this road, you gonna fall off this cliff." But being up in the mountains, just quiet time to myself. I had gotten a junior suite and opened the door, and I didn't know these things were gonna be there. There was lime trees literally right outside the door when I opened the door. And lime trees and orange trees. And there was like my own private little jacuzzi, but it wasn't heated and it was cold, but it was nice to hear the water. Had my own little private like area, and this amazing clawfoot tub that I took baths every day and just soaked in that thing. Had my salts and all that stuff. Played my music, just danced, just wore my sexy lingerie for myself. I was like, look, but it was out of that came a lot of clarity. It allowed me to reflect on some things and realize that there were people in my life, things that required attention or releasing. And I came, journaled, walked by the river, did a lot of things. And that's because I tuned out all of the other sources of distraction, all of the dopamine hits that come from going on social media, just people pinging the devices, right? Like we're just, what's the word I'm looking for? We're trained like Pavlov's dog, right? You hear the little ding, the notification, and you just run. And I wanted to stop that. I wanted to close off from news sources, and I still have. It's been over, let's see, it's been over a month. And I just have this peace and calm. I know things that happen, but I choose not to allow it to disrupt me. I choose not to engage with content that disrupts me. I've unfollowed people, I've unfriended people, I've broken up with people, I've done all the things. And it's just been such I feel lighter, right? And so that's what happens when you have and you release what no longer aligns. Been decluttering, been shredding papers. Things start to naturally fade out, and the things that you thought you were attached to, you feel less anchored to. So this is why people, when they get ready to, really draw a line in the sand, I say start decluttering early. You don't realize how much stuff you have until you get ready to leave your country. You start to purge things that you thought you were attached to. You're like, oh, I can live without. I can give it to someone, rehome things. Um, even I've been here now over 2 years. I still don't have a dryer. I still don't have a car. I have always had a car, always had dryers, right? Had not taken public transportation in decades. I take public transportation all the time, And so you start to realize the things that you had attachment to. Sometimes it's, your neighborhood, your car, your job title, all of these things that at the end of the day, do they really make you? Are they really the essence of you? You start to question things. And that's what I said. It goes back into the beginning of that discomfort. You realize that you want to have a more aligned life, and that when you take your ordered steps in alignment, things come to you, right? Like a magnet. And so you start to say, okay, where are the points where I'm feeling resistance in my life? Where are the points or people or things that are in my life that no longer serve me? Maybe it no longer serves me to drive or to have a 2-hour commute and pay all of this money and lose time away from my family. Maybe it doesn't serve me to go to this job that I hate and um, do all this just to keep my health insurance or a steady paycheck. Can I start to think outside the box about ways that I can turn my passion into something that I can make money to bridge me to my move, right? But when you're on that hamster wheel and your life is full of distractions, or either distractions that are just in the environment, or distractions that you call into your life because you're trying to avoid certain things, that's when you realize that maybe those are the things that are the blocks that are keeping you from being able to enjoy your blessing. But when you are able to be still and you're able to get those downloads, that's when you're like, the clarity comes, the conviction comes, and the trusting yourself to make the best move for you. Hmm. Yeah, thank you. Yay. Yes, yes. Yeah, I didn't know that for myself when I came to Portugal, and it was that look, that conversation with Shar. I always give her flowers, right? I think Shar was in season 3 of the show, if I'm not mistaken, season 2 or 3. And we did not know each other before I created Blaxit Global. I didn't know, with the exception of Marsha, who was season 1, because we worked together. I did not know anybody before I created it. I was just a woman sitting in my apartment trying to keep her sanity during a pandemic. And um, yeah, it was that conversation that I had with Shar. She was talking about her life in Portugal, and I was reflecting on the conversations and the countries that piqued my interest. And I was like, okay, you know what? Costa Rica, Costa Rica didn't work out. New Zealand was too far. I was like, I'll go over to Portugal. What the hey? And man, day 2, maybe day 3, I was like, nah, this is it. This is it. This is it. Portugal was not on my radar before. I think I might have told this story before. When I went to New Zealand for the first time in 2017, I went again in 2020 because I was planning to move there in 2023. So I was trying to figure out where I wanted to live. And I love New Zealand. And I also love Maori men. But anyway, I digress. And so I was on a plane with my cousin, and we were flying from Australia to New Zealand because they had the wildfires in Australia at the time. And she was on her phone doing Duolingo. And I was like, oh, what are you studying? She was like, oh, Portuguese. And I was like, why? She's like, because when I retire, I'm going to move to Portugal. And I was like, where's that? That was in January 2020. I moved here in September of 2023. What? I didn't even know where it was. Came here in 2022 to visit. I didn't speak no language. I didn't know about obrigada, no bom dia. I was just picking stuff up. Okay. But what I've learned through my experience is your heart and your soul knows first. And then after, now living here and have traveled quite a bit through the country, not so much in Algarve, but I think what happens is we're adaptive as human beings, right? We talked about, I made the analogy earlier about, kids and, observing and walking, learning to crawl and walk and speak and all this other stuff. Our brains constantly are trying to make sense of our environment. And so it is normal and natural that now, after 2 something years, like when the lady was doing my nails, she's, doing my nails, and I think she knew that we spoke at one point before, and so she knew I was American. So I think she just thought, yeah, maybe I was a tourist, and, wasn't really talking a lot. And so I was like, oh, okay, I'm cool, right? Because I can't really carry a big conversation. But as I'm looking around, the little area we were in, I'm reading the signs in Portuguese, and I'm like, oh, I know exactly what, like, there was this graphic and all these other things, and I was just like reading it, and I was like, well, I think it says this, and then all of a sudden, like, all of the whole damn thing made sense, and I was like, look at my ass. It's a quem somos, and then it was like, who we are, and about the place that was getting my nails done. They were open for 13 years. They do hygienic this and all this other stuff, and I was just like, I can understand that. I know exactly what this sign says, right? And so all that is to say is that they talk about neuroplasticity of the brain, and part of being abroad is, I feel, it strengthens and not just adds years to your life in terms of eating better food, depending on where you are in the world, more mobility to move around. I walk a lot here and things like that. But because no day is the same as the day before, my brain is constantly being stimulated in the best way possible. My old life, it was like time to make the donuts. It was like, turning big rocks into little rocks. I could have done that in my sleep every day in, day out, day in, day out. I did not do. Somebody look at my old life and my new life, they'd be like, oh, damn. I mean, look, sometimes I do, right? But you start to release what's no longer aligned. You start to believe that you can have a bigger life for yourself, a better life for yourself. And however that comes to you, right? It doesn't have to be my life. I didn't know this was going to be my life, right? But you have to have a belief that there's something more. And the fact that you think that, and the fact that you're here, you know. Patricia said, so true. Reading the signs in Lisbon is learning the language for me. Also, yeah, you start to like, oh, no, so, hour, like things that you're like, oh, I see this word a bunch of times. And then you start to have context clues, right? And then you're like, oh, wait, I think this means this. Or, some words that I've learned before, but then I didn't have to use it, like nails, uñas. And I was walking, I was like, oh, I want to get my nails done. I'm like, ooh, a place I normally go to, I didn't feel like going to, because I was like, I don't feel like taking a bus. I'll just go in my neighborhood, which I've only done it once before. And I was like, ooh, but if I go into the Central, I gotta use my Portuguese because they don't speak English. If I go in Saldana, I don't have to speak Portuguese. If I stay in my neighborhood, it is a must. And I was like, oh, let's see. Now, in my head, I'm like, posso. I'm like, no, that's me. I can. And I was like, no, pode. And I was like, oh, pode fazer minhas unhas. And I put it in the translator, what was in my head, and then it came out in English, exactly what I thought I was saying. And I was like, oh, okay. So then I walked in and I was like, hey, I said it. And they were like, oh, okay. Hoje? Yeah. See? Now, posso? Okay. Amanhã? See? Oh. Done. Day made. I be walking around with my little sense of pride. Absolutely. truly, there is something more to life than the rat race. As a quote, and I talked to my mother the other day, and I've been seeing it quite a bit, and I've shared it on Blaxit Global's Instagram, and it said something to the effect. I'm paraphrasing. It was like, some people die, or was it some people? Ooh, am I gonna say it right? It was like something to the effect that some people travel, and the only place they've gone to. Some people live their life, and it was, I'm massacre this. Uh, and the only place they've gone to, or the only place they've traveled to, is work. And I was like, ooh, some people live their lives and the only place they've traveled to is work. That's what it was. Some people live their lives and the only place they've traveled to is work. And I was like, ooh, that hit. That hit. Because the biggest thing that had changed my life, that was a quantum leap, was when I made that decision in 27. Well, I made the decision in 2016. I was walking on the beach, seeing all these people holding hands and saying, "Oh, I can't wait to have a relationship," and then I will travel. And at that point, I was divorced 6 years, and I was like, "Bitch, stop telling yourself that. Get your ass and go somewhere." And I said, "Okay." And I got my stuff off the beach. I went home and I bought the ticket to New Zealand that day. I hadn't thought about New Zealand since I was probably a teenager. Decades. But that's exactly where I bought that ticket. I looked, I saw the price. I was like, okay, let's do this. Called my ex-husband. I was like, oh, can you watch the kids for a couple weeks? Sure. I'd never done anything like that before. Never. 3 weeks by myself, other side of the world. I mean, New Zealand is far. Look at a map. It's past Australia. Okay. 28 hours of flying. But I did it. I watched the sun come up and go down twice. Pass over the equator. I was like, yo, that shit is so cool. Discovered a new me. Discovered a whole whole nother aspect of my personality. Mm-mm. Mm-mm. So yes, it has to be something more. And you have to believe it. You're not crazy. Not crazy. Mm-mm. 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 Okay. I think this one is the last one. Oh no. Number 6, your body feels different. Your body feels different. Oof. This might hit for some people. You know, sometimes that shows up where you have more energy out of nowhere because you're excited. You know, like I said, I was living a humdrum life outside of, just outside of my excitement, of course, being with my kids. But, or when I traveled, that's when I would come to life, right? And then I wanted to do that more. But you have less tolerance for bullshit, quite honestly. Your intuition gets stronger, your body feels different. You also may have a desire to have more rest. Yes, you might have energy spikes, but sometimes it calls for you to rest, to journal, to reflect, to allow yourself to have those downloads, right? You may decide to have more movement in your life. You may do these walks. For me, I recommitted to reformer Pilates this year, and that has helped. Me be better attuned to my body, and I don't. Sometimes I don't want to get up and go, and especially when we had the rain a couple of days, and like, oh my gosh, right? But I know how good I feel when I get out of it. To just channel and have new experiences, right? Meet different people, think outside the box. And then your last one is You start taking consistent action without force, right? Goes kind of back to what we said about being pulled, but instead of, in addition to that pull, is that you are starting to do things on your own. You have this sense of initiative, you have this sense of command. You stop procrastinating. You set that date, you get rid of that stuff. You say, okay, you know what? I've been staring at this. It's not making, I said I wanted to move, but I'm still looking at a closet full of stuff. I'm still got all this stuff in storage. I still have this, and you're like, nope. And then it's like somebody lit a fire up underneath you. And you're like, oh, wait, right? You start to research, you start to plan, you start to organize. You really start to work. If you're in Passport, you're working the group, you're getting in those, materials, you're going to those workshops, you're looking at past things, you're consuming content, not with the goal of just consuming, but you're thinking about your action plans, right? You're asking better questions with the goal of getting you that much closer to goal. You're in momentum. Momentum builds. It's like a snowball, right? You think that snowball goes down the hill and it starts to get bigger and bigger and bigger, right? And then it's this whole big avalanche, right? But that's momentum. Momentum is building and continuing to allow you to move because you're not feeling pressure. It's not pressure, it's momentum. It's like you're guided, right? Your steps are ordered. You're in flow. You're in flow. So, what do you do when you notice these signs? Yeah, I know. Yeah, no, yeah. I have done the same thing. No negativity. I know of things, but I don't need to see them. I don't need to. I've been deleting my history. I've been really trying to retrain the algorithms. Yeah, a lot of intentional interactions and less being a passive consumer, right? Not just of content, but just in general. And so, what do you do when you notice these signs? So, when you notice those 7 signs, um, you get grounded, right? You get grounded, clarify your timeline, order your budget, get your budget together, get your location together, and the vision. I think it's really important to have a vision for your new life. Every episode of the Blaxit Global podcast starts with close your eyes and imagine living a life you love, right? That's an intentional act to cast a vision for the life that you want to lead. That is going to be different from everyone, right? As different as your fingerprint. It has to be meaningful to you. It can't be a cut and paste of somebody else's life. It has to be meaningful to you. Build the structure, take real steps, real dates, real numbers, right? There's plenty of resources. Get in community. You cannot make quantum leaps alone. You shouldn't. You shouldn't. Because when you have those wins, you need to have that support, right? That support that says, attaboy, attagirl, you know, it nourishes you, it fortifies you, it gives you, more desire to do that, right? And when alignment shows up, when those quantum leaps are happening, when you are in flow, when you are in flow, don't overthink it. Because there are always going to be distractions. There are always going to be things to take you off your game. And I tell people in group all the time, the closer you get to goal, the more you will be challenged. The closer you get to goal, the more you will be challenged. So when you know that, you can say, and I started doing that, especially towards the end. I was getting ready to leave America. I was like, ooh, I'm being tested. Or something would, change, something unexpected. And instead of spinning out, or what they say, the youngins now say crashing out, I'd be like, plot twist, and then deal with it, right? Not spinning out, not, mm-mm, mm-mm. You are the captain of your fate. Mm-hmm. Yay, thank you. All right. So we're going to go through the 7, and then I'm going to let you find people go. So just to recap, right? Quantum leaps. Sign number 1, increasing discomfort with your current life. Sign number 2, setting clarity about what you want. Sign number 3, resources and opportunities start aligning. Sign number 4, emotional and spiritual confirmation. Sign number 5, you start releasing what's no longer aligned. Ooh. Sign number 6, your body starts to feel different. And lastly, sign number 7, you start taking consistent action without force. Without force. You can do it. You got it, my friends. Yay. You got it, my friends. You can do it. You can do it. All right. I think we did it. All right. You wonderful people, have a wonderful, safe, and blessed holiday. Enjoy your time however you plan to spend it, whether it's a day off, whether you're working, whether you're with friends or family. This weekend, I have a jam-packed weekend actually. A Friendsgiving tomorrow. We have the tree lighting in Lisbon on Saturday, and going to be with some wonderful friends. And then Sunday, our friend Bridget, Southern Gal in Portugal, is having her amazing Thanksgiving feast in Porto. So I'm headed up north with my belly. I'm going too fast so I can eat maximum amounts of her delicious, amazing food. So it's a jam-packed weekend full of wonderful energy, great people, and I know great food. And so I want you to have a wonderful time wherever you are. But you're welcome. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I will not be here next Thursday. I will be with my mama. I haven't seen her in maybe a year and a half, maybe a little more. So gonna see my mama, but I'll be back the week after that. All right. And don't forget, if you want to hang out with us for our virtual holiday party, come inside of Blaxit Global Passport. We will have a workshop too in December, possibly two, because I didn't, because my situation in November didn't get to that one, but we do have a workshop in December, and then more exciting things to come in January. In the meantime, be safe, be well, and I will see you in 2 weeks. Listen to the Blaxit Global podcast. All right. Ciao.